Yo, what's up everybody? Holding Ice with you here, bringing you Fairytail final season anime review. This is episode 320 titled Neo Eclipse. This was a very dialogue heavy episode. It was more explaining the whole future and all different connections of different people, places, and things. We find out who that lady is from last week's episode, who they were foreshadowing. It's actually the original Heartfilia, Anna Heartfilia, an ancestor of Lucy, I'm not sure if it's the very first one or one of the oldest ones, but she's basically an ancestor of Lucy, and we find out how she and the other dragon slayers time traveled 400 years over here, and how they are part of the eclipse from the Magic Games, and how all that works. And a lot of people bash Hiramashima and says that he's a bad storytelling. And it's not that he's a bad storytelling, it's more like when it comes to his fight scenes, it's sometimes the problem, but when it comes to his storytelling, he's phenomenal. And when it comes to like time travel and space, usually those type of situations get iffy in storytelling, and a lot of times Arthur makes mistakes. But in this episode, like, he put all the connections and places and people together, and the way he did it was really, really hooked up. But it's kind of confusing at the same time. You're gonna have to like read like the whole manga when this part was explained, and watch the episode to like really fully grasp everything. So I'm gonna break it down to y'all how it went down. Anna Heartfilia was the one. Her family was the one who created the gate. Now she was the one to actually go in the gate. But the problem is, even though she was the first to open it, she couldn't be the one to reopen it from the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she opened the gate, she went in and it closed. But it's not technically officially closed until somebody else does it. So what she did was, she made a book, and every female of the Heartfilia family who was the next leader of the next generation would get the book passed to them. It was a family heirloom. And this book would contain, which this book was a diary, by the way, and it would contain information on how the Heartfilia family was built, why they are celestial wizards and stuff like that. And the Heartfilia family history was not explained fully, but since it's not really based on the Heartfilia family, like their history and why they made the gate and stuff like that, sadly that information wasn't given to us. But as we know, Anna is actually one of the most powerful spirit mages that has ever existed. Lucy most likely going to take that mantle later on, of course, since she's main protagonist. So is Natsu, but just clarifying that basically every descendant passed on this diary, or book as they called it, to the next one, and it kept on passing and passing and passing until it got to Layla, which is Lucy's mother. And she was finally the first one that was able to close the gate. And the way she was able to close the gate is by actually summoning Anna, who was in the gate in the first place. Because when she opened it, she was stuck in that time zone for 400 years with the 5 kids, and we find out who these 5 kids are. It's Sting and Rogue, Natsu, Windy, and Gajo. These 5 children she actually raised, and she knew them as well as the dragons who raised them. She's connected to all 5 dragons that raised them, and the kids, and Zeref. And Zeref himself, as we already know, was connected to the dragons. He was best friends with, Ignil, who he gave Natsu to raise, because he couldn't do it. Or he didn't want to do it. Either way, you can interpret that. But long story short, Layla was able to succeed. She opened the gate, or closed the gate, as they used to say. Even though closing the gate means opening it for Layla. For Anna. So since she opened the gate for her, that was officially when the gate was officially closed. Because once they brought in Anna with the 5 chosen kids who were meant to come here and destroy the acnologia, then everything was done and fine. Here's the problem though. The 5 kids came out first, and they came out in a burst of energy, and they went in 5 different directions. Layla, she was delayed. Anna, she was delayed, and she came out, and only Layla and the king is there. And it's interesting to see how the king and his family was actually protecting this gate. This shows that one of the king's ancestors was most likely friends with somebody from the Heartfilia family, and they were responsible for keeping this gate intact. So that's the connection between the king and his daughter, with Anna and Heartfilia, and Layla Heartfilia and Lucy Heartfilia. Now you get to explain more, and why also Yukino and her sisters connected, because they celestial wizards. I wouldn't be surprised if they probably are part of the Heartfilia family, or maybe a cousin part of the family. You know, another part, like, you know how Chihas and Senjus from Naruto, how like they technically a branch of one family. I wouldn't be surprised if like another family is a branch of the Heartfilia family, and that's where Yukino and her sister comes from. Because we know they're celestial wizards, and they took part in that magic game and opening the gate. So, but that's basically the gist of it. The first half of the episode was basically her explaining that whole history to them. It was really done really well. Again, a lot of people like to bash on Fairytail, but then when it does something good, nobody gives it credit. It's like you hear nothing but crickets and nobody talks about it. And this story right here is done very beautiful. The way he hooked it up, the way everybody's connected to everybody, the Heartfilia family, Yuki and her sister, the king and his daughter, all them, Ezra being connected to her mom, Irene, who's connected to Zareth, who is technically the one who saved her from going completely crazy. I mean, she still went crazy, but it wasn't like she was crazy, but it was like she was one of those crazies being under control. You know what I'm saying? She was crazy, but she had a controller on her, and that was Zareth, who she obeyed. So, and that also connect August, who is technically the nephew of Natsu. As old as he is, he's actually a nephew, so that's pretty cool. And it also ties in Lucy and them. It actually ties in Grandina, her human counterpart, the doctor of Fairytail. It also includes her in this. Maris and her friends, who is the father of Makaraj. So see how everyone is being connected by everybody. So this was a really done well episode. And she explained though, when they came over here, they created a time rift, and their plan is to use Christine to bug acnologia to chase it, so they can push him into the time rift where no living thing can live, because it's nothing. It's not living, it's not dead, there's no time, there's no magic, there's nothing. It just is a room of emptiness. Supposedly they're going to lock him in there so he can stay dead in there, or just be locked forever, either or. But that's their plan. Now Jalal and Ezra are using common sense, and they're like, is it really going to be that easy to defeat him and to trap him in there? And Layla, you know, she responds, I mean, not her, I keep saying Layla, I'm sorry, Anna, she explains and responds that this is our only hope. This is the best possibility to lock him down. This rift got bigger last year thanks to the magic games. So when the eclipse happened, so it's even more powerful now. If we can stick him in there, he most likely will be done. So that's their plan, and that's what they were going to do, and that's who the mystery person who they were hiding is. It's Anna Heartfilia, the ancestor of Lucy, the very first one, supposedly. But as that's going on, we shift over to Gray, Lucy, and Happy. And Lucy's crying because she's like, this is Natsu's life. I can't believe this book is everything of Natsu. Isn't he just a regular boy? And she's crying because she's trying to figure out a way to save Natsu so he can stay. But she's like, she's mind blank. She can't really come to terms. Neither can Gray. But Happy, the person that everyone likes to mock and say he's useless, he's just there for comical relief and transportation, he actually brings up a good idea. He figures out that maybe the master left the book for us, because maybe she wants us to open it and read some pages and maybe find out a clue to change, you know, destiny for Natsu. So Lucy and Gray are happy, and they're like, okay, cool. Let's figure out how to, you know, open this book and figure that out. Oh, and before I get to mention, going on Wendy, we found out that Wendy and the other 4 children, all 5 Dragon Slayers, the original ones, besides the fact that they were raised by their dragons and they were also raised by Anna, we also find out that Anna is like a mother figure to all of them. So when Wendy saw her, she actually teared up, and she was like shocked but happy at the same time. So I can't wait to see the other 4 Dragon Slayers and how they react. But then we get the ending cliffhanger of this episode, and it's basically Natsu running out of power, and Zareth is disappointed, and he shoots him with like this black energy beam, and is holding him down, and you see his vein is like popping up, and it looks like this black sword that is eating him around. It looks like it's trying to devour him. So, and then we find out, thanks to Zareth, that he knows about the Neo Eclipse, that time rift. He says he's going to make a Neo Eclipse with that time rift, and he needs two things. He needs another immortal, which is going to be Maris, and he's going to add her powers to himself and control that to the time rift to reverse time. So everything will go back to before he was immortal, so he can change destiny. So that's going to be his new plan. Instead of dying or killing everything like he wanted to, he's basically going to reverse time. It's funny how Layla's whole family, the Heartfilia family, thanks to Anna, it started with them going forward in time to try to defeat the acnologia. Now, Zareth wants to redo the whole thing and go back in time to defeat him. So it's like, he's immortal. So even if they reverse time, since he's immortal, time abilities don't really work on immortals. So he'd be unfazed. So he would still be around. So, but that is Zareth's plan on winning this war and getting what he wants. Is by using Maris' magic combined with himself, combined with the time rift, to reverse time and go back to a time where before he became immortal, so he can fix his life. But since he would still have his knowledge and power, he can gain more power later on without being immortal, and he can also find a way to defeat the acnologia. So that was basically the episode. Really great episode, really great stuff. Like I said earlier, Hiro Mashima did a beautiful job explaining this whole time rift thing and scenario, and how it goes, and how this time rift exists in one certain spot. And it's weird because we've seen this one spot before, and time openings and endings, and we actually passed by it before. It's actually in the outskirts town of Hagen, which, if you remember, in the first 5 episodes of Fairytail, Lucy, Gray, and Natsu took a boat to that demon country that they helped, and they had to pass through that docks of Hagen. So it's funny that the time rift is near there, because it's funny, that's where Fairytail starts, and that's most likely where Fairytail is going to end. So again, people like to bash on Fairytail, but when it does something good, especially story writing like this, nobody's around to praise it. So it's just weird, but haters are gonna hate on it for what it is. The really big flaw in Fairytail, again, is its fight scenes. Because Hiro Mashima hypes up the story, he hypes up the characters, which he does very well, but the fight scenes don't really always deliver. And it's the way he does them, it kind of does it on that cheesy Disney type way. It's like the love and friendship can power up anything and beyond anything and give them the power and will to survive anything. And it's like, it makes sense because that's how the story is built up on one magic, but it's also very, very cheesy. So I can understand why a lot of people hate on Fairytail, even though, like I said it earlier before, the hate on Fairytail is too strong for what it is. It's not like Fairytail is the only anime that does this. Other anime does it too. It's just Hiro Mashima decided to base Fairytail on that principle. That's really the only difference. And that rubs off a lot of people in the wrong way. But volume speaks for itself, and if you look up what Fairytail does and its making and how much it does and its fan base, it does pretty good. It may not be top 10 anime, but it's always in the top 20, so that's second place. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good ranking. But that's all I have for you guys. Tell me what you like and didn't like about the episode, and how you felt about this whole time travel back and forth thing. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Zareth's going to be able to reverse time? Do you think Anna's plan is going to work? Do you think the acnologia is dumb enough to fall for this? Another thing, because this is something that a lot of people was complaining about in the manga, and I'm one of them. Do you think it makes sense that this magical ship Christine can actually outrun the acnologia and hurt him? This is the only thing that the acnologia cannot catch up to, and this is the only thing that actually hurt the acnologia. Because remember, they crashed it into him to push him away to save Wendy, Ezra, and God and Jalal. So, and it's weird that it didn't just hurt him; it actually outspeed him. So that's kind of weird. It's like this ship has more stats better than any other character. So that's kind of weird. I'm not sure if that's like a plot device or whatever, but Christina is a very powerful ship, full of all magic and high top techniques and engines. So it might make sense depending on how you look at it. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. But that's all I have for you. Peace out and have a good one.